crafty friends, Shana from ShanoukiArt. I'm continuing to work in my Junky junk journal. I have this piece of card which was from some packaging and I like the design on the back. The other side is plain so I can write on it. I've just torn a piece that I've tucked into that pocket and I'm just going to write on here. Again, just using my black fine liner pen. I want to add something at the bottom just for a bit of interest. I have this strip of paper which is from a scrapbook page. It's a little end bit that has the barcode on. The one side normally has a design, so I've just torn a small piece and I'm going to put that strip at the bottom. And to continue that design, I'm going to add a strip of that paper on the bottom left by my pocket too. I'm just adding a clip to hold that in place while it dries. For this page, we have a lot going on. I'm thinking I'm going to create a pocket by folding this magazine page in half. Just trying another option, but no, I'm going to go with this one and I'm going to fold it and then bend it over and just trim off the excess so it matches up with the bottom page that I'm going to attach it to. I'm going to add a piece of my catalog paper over the left hand side where my pocket is going to be stuck onto. I love the colors of this. It's a great way to use up this catalog that I have no other use for and I don't just want to throw it out. So I'm just going to tear a piece that roughly fits over that page and then I'm going to stick that down. And I'm really loving this piece of the magazine. It's got the pink flowers and the text and it would otherwise go on the inside of the pocket. So I've torn it off and I'm going to put it on the front of the pocket. We're sticking thin paper to thin paper. I'm using glue stick for this. I'm then going to stick that piece of magazine paper that I like over the top of where my pocket is going to go. And unintentionally, everything is pinks and purples, which is looking really nice. I'm now going to stick my pocket down onto the backing page. I'm going to use double-sided tape for this. The magazine paper is quite thin. If I had to use like a wet craft glue, it would buckle quite a bit, which is fine if that is all you have, but I do have the double-sided tape, so I'm going to use that. So just a piece on each end, and then we're going to stick this down onto the background page. And there's our little pocket. And now we need to put something inside. I have this round tag. It was from some kind of something that we bought. It's a good size. I love that it's a round shape and it fits perfectly in the pocket. Back to my versatile catalog. I have this beautiful page that I can use. I'm going to stick this down onto the front of the tag. It has some beautiful heart designs. A quick trim to get rid of the excess. It's not extremely straight. It's a bit rough and ready, but it is a handmade Junky journal, so I don't mind so much. And thank you all so much for your comments in the previous video about the gesso. You are right, it is a tool like glue or a pen, so it's perfectly okay to use in a Junky junk journal. So I'm adding a thin layer to each side of this card. For the front, I want to make it so I can write on it, and on the back, I just want to lighten all of the text. I don't want it totally gone. I want still to see the text of the card, but I don't want it quite so bold. I'm going to write right across the entire front of this card. I'm going to add a small tab on top. I have a piece of scrap paper with the beautiful pinks. I'm just going to fold that in half, attach it to the top and staple it in place. I want to add a little bit of color to this card. I have my brush tip acrylic paint pen in a metallic pink and I'm just going to press the nib down onto the paper and it creates the most beautiful little hearts. That looks pretty cute. And pop that in the pocket. This next page with the beautiful purples is an old calendar. The paper is super shiny and I want to decorate the edge. I have a strip from the spiral end of a book page, and then I also have some leftover collage paper I made, that one with the turquoise and purple dots. I'm going to stick these down on the edge with some craft glue. I wanted to write on here, but I wasn't sure how. It's extremely shiny. I didn't want to cover it with anything, and my white acrylic pens just weren't adhering to it very well. Then I thought I'll just use my correction pen. It's got a fine enough tip that you can write with, and the white is really nice and bold against the purple. I really didn't want to lose that color. I think that's created a beautiful contrast. To add a bit more interest to the bottom of the page, I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling with texture paste. I'm using my favorite leaf stencil, and if you don't have texture paste and you have gesso, you can just take a little bit of gesso and apply some baby powder to it to thicken it up. That'll work just the same. So using my palette knife, I'm pressing my texture paste through the stencil just at the bottom right hand corner. Drying that well, I'm going to add a small piece of scrap paper just on this page in case there is any wetness of the texture paste, so it doesn't go onto my other page until it's totally dry. For this page, I'm going to add some white paper on just for writing purposes, and I have a piece of the envelope that my old dress pattern was in. I have a bit of that left over, so I'm going to use it the other way around and actually glue the text part down onto my journal, and I'll have the white bit, which is actually the inside of the envelope, showing. Adding a couple of pieces of masking tape at the bottom across both pages. I just love the look that this gives. Paging through my free food magazine, I came across this page. The colors of the flowers in the center are absolutely amazing. And then this is actually a table setting. The plates that they have used in this green and turquoise, I think are so pretty. So I'm cutting those out and I'm going to use them as page embellishments. No one is going to know that they're dinner plates. I'm going to use just 2 for this page. I'll save the other 2 for later on in the journal. But how cute does that look already? I'm then going to tear a couple of strips from the flower centerpiece. I need a couple of short ones and then one long one. I want to decorate this page a bit before I start writing. I'm going to tear the strips as needed and just fit them on the page to bring some color and brighten this up. Once I'm happy with all the placement, I'm going to glue everything down. Now on the right hand side, that page that you see that's sort of an off-white color, it has a stamp from a library. So that came from an old library book. It was sort of one of those front pages of the book. I don't actually want to lose that stamp. I love the way it looks. So I'm going to find a way to incorporate it into my design without writing text over it. I want you to still sort of be able to read it, but I don't want to also leave it as is. So I'm going to doodle a really big flower over it. And although I'm drawing over it, because I'm not writing over it, it's still legible. If I had written words, it would all get a little bit muddled. But I think with the doodle flower, you can still read what it says. I'm going to use the large space on the left page to do my writing. I feel that will fill the page pretty well. And I made a spelling error, but that's okay. I'm just going to use my white out to fix that up. And I'm going to add some color to the flower on the right. I'm going to go for pink. I'm going to start with my bright pink acrylic crayon, just sort of going around the border of each petal. I'm then going to use my watercolor paints to color that in a little bit. And if you're not new to my channel, you won't be surprised that I'm now going to add some splatter. Using the dark pink of my watercolors, I'm going to concentrate most of the splatter on the right hand side where my flower is, but I am going to do a little bit on the left by the writing. And then using a black marker, I'm going to add some definition to the center of my flower. For this page, I decided I need a different color pen or ink. Otherwise, it's all just black. So I've sort of changed the handwriting in some of the other pages, but I decided to go with a green gel pen just for something different and to hopefully keep it interesting. For the right hand side, I'm going to add another kind of pocket. I have the seed packet for some cucumbers and I'm going to add that. The green matches the green text. I think it'll work. I'm folding the top just in half so I can get the center point, and then I'm using my round punch to create a half moon punch out. Attaching this with double-sided tape to the background page. Then finding some tags for the inside. I have another clothing tag. I'm going to put that inside. And I'm going to just write a big word across. I'm going to write the word memories. I think it'll fit on this tag. Again, I'm doing it on a scrap paper first just to get my spacing, and then I'm using my Posca pen to write that on the tag. I want to create something at the top of the tag where you'd normally have the tie. I have a strip of that paper with the pinks and the greens from the previous page. I'm just going to cut a piece and sort of put it into a V shape and staple that at the top. So that part will stick out of my little pocket. And then I have a leftover piece from this instruction sheet. I'm going to use this to do some writing on. I'm just going to tear it into a smaller piece and then fold it in half. The idea I had was to use this sort of like a letter. So I was going to write across and then fold it in half. So when you pop it in the pocket, when you pull it out and open it, it's like opening a letter. I was using a Posca pen, which was way too thick. I couldn't get the text sort of to fit correctly. It wasn't looking like I imagined. So after a little while, I gave that up and thought I'll go with another plan. So I used my glue stick and I just stuck this together in the center. So it's sort of just one long strip. Then plan B was to write across this way with a pink fine liner. And as I was doing this, I wasn't liking this either. Even though I wrote the whole bit that I wanted to write, it just wasn't working for me. So I went to plan C. And I covered the one side of this paper tag with my brown paper. Applied glue everywhere and then stuck the brown paper on top and trimmed off the excess. And then using the black pen, which has not faulted me, I wrote sideways across this tag, and then I really liked the way that turned out. Going to add a small embellishment in that space at the bottom of my text. I've just torn a piece of old book page. And using a piece of those beautiful pink flowers again, I'm going to stick all that down. And because I love using numbers, I have another little price tag. Again, I'm going to remove the $sign and just put the number down. And pop that into my cucumber pockets. Going to add a little bit of decoration to the cucumber pockets. How many times can I say cucumber pockets? I have an old book about scrapbooking that came out many years ago, and I'm going to use it up now because it's got beautiful pictures in. So it's actually got this black and white photo inside that I really want to use. I think it's really cute. I'm leaving the spiral end on the one side of the little photo. I'm adding a piece of brown paper and then also a piece of book page just to create a little bit of a cluster of interest. Sticking down those first two layers. I'm going to add a small piece of green scrap paper just at the bottom left of the black and white photo, just to balance out with the green on the top of the cucumber pocket. To then balance out the pinks, I'm going to fussy cut this one pink flower from the magazine cutout and attach it to the bottom right of the cluster. And a piece of masking tape. And then I feel the page on the left is just too plain. It's just a page of text. So I found another cute photo from that scrapbook book, and I'm going to tear that very roughly and attach it over the text just with a paper clip. The top of the little photo says happiness, which I think is really cute, and I love the black and white photo. So I'm attaching that and finishing off that page. So that's the pages for today. Let's page through them quickly again. I really love the way they turned out. I love the pinks and the colors. It's all a bit of a hodgepodge mix up, and I'm really enjoying decorating this journal. I hope you're enjoying it too, and I hope you're gaining some inspiration. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.